Gen first rate.
Right? And I heard God say, move. And I was like, all right, is that for me? Or is it like, who is that for? You know? And so I was like, move. So I'm in the shower and I'm like, because, you know, I like to analyze things and break it down. And I'm like, okay, move on, move up, don't be moved. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what are you saying? You know, because movement can also mean standing still. Don't be moved.
Right.
Don't be shaken. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it was saying movement, like, don't stay stuck where you are. It's time to move. It's time to go wherever it is that you're going. Like it's just time to just move. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I mean, sometimes in this life's journey, we can really get stagnant because we're waiting for perfect conditions to move a certain way. And a lot of times God just wants us to move forward. You know, like go with what you have. Like even if you think of David and Goliath, if David would have waited to maybe get specialized training on how to kill a giant, he wouldn't have moved right then and there. God says, take your 5 smooth stones and get to work.
And it's crazy because anytime I've ever had to move in my life, I had to go with what I had. When I tell you I had to go with what I had, and what I had sometimes was nothing. And sometimes I had to leave everything that I did attain.
Yeah.
And just go.
And just go.
And just go. And just go, because things sometimes is what holds you back.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like if I had been concerned about, like, I've moved maybe like 3 times significantly in my life with no instruction. It was just something in my spirit that was just like, bye. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You have to go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go. You gotta go. Look, I'll give you instruction as you're moving.
As you're moving.
As you're moving. Because sometimes the only instruction is move.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you're like, okay, but you so focused on moving that you don't even care about the instruction. The rest of the instructions.
Right.
You like, okay, well, I done did this and I'll figure it out along the way.
Moving is a part of is having faith.
Yes.
Not being able to see the next step.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't move because we don't have faith.
That's it.
And when we don't have faith, what do we really have?
Nothing, because faith without works is dead. It's kind of like, and you was talking about stagnancy, like, stagnancy comes from not believing. It comes from not
believing in yourself.
Prime example.
Yeah.
I was on the move, and that's another thing I was hearing too. On the move, like, you know, I was on the move, and then something happened, and I kind of got like stuck. So my thoughts, I was like, okay, and I was like, man, forget it. I ain't doing nothing.
You know, when I got into doing video and stuff like that, I heard God's voice say, buy some photography lights. And I'm like, just randomly, I wasn't even thinking about video. The pandemic didn't even hit yet. And I heard God say, buy some photography lights. The algorithm came up with Amazon, and I bought the lights.
Wow.
2 of them are right there.
Wow.
And and then I went down to go see my brother. And I used that money instead of paying my cell phone bill.
Pay for that works is dead.
So I had no cell phone, right? And fortunately, I was at the hotel. They had Wi-Fi. I wound up getting an email through my website from a guy who worked for Verizon Media.
Come on here.
Right? And
I know all about it.
And so I'm sitting like, I'm thinking it's a joke because I set up the website, I set up all this framework to receive business, and without faith that I was actually going to get business this way. So I get the email. I thought it was a scam, but I was like, I heard God say, follow it. Keep going. Move. So I was like, okay. I hit the guy back. He wound up booking me to come do a set at their location. Then the next month, he books me again to DJ their party virtually.
Okay.
And I did it right here.
See?
Literally right here in front of those lights, in front of these cameras. And they, as soon as it was over, they PayPal me my money immediately.
See what I'm saying? But you had to be in position.
I had to step out on faith to receive. And even spent money that was bill money to step out on faith.
Okay.
And
but he gave it right back. He gave it right back.
First off, not only did he give it right back,
okay,
it was like 1,000%, literally, over what I paid for these lights.
Okay. I'm telling you, I don't play. Let me tell you something. Anytime he tells you to move, he's going to make provision.
Yeah.
For what he told you to do.
Absolutely.
I am a complete witness. Let me tell you, yo, I'm telling you, I have moved out the state like 3 times with no money. No money.
Wow.
No money.
Wow.
And he provided for me. But there was a purpose for me going.
Yeah.
There was a purpose for me going, and I didn't understand it at the time. I'm like, I don't get this. This don't make no sense, blah, blah, blah. But when I got there, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
And even when he brought me back, and I was thinking about that too the other day, how sometimes you have to double back.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he'll take you back to where you came from. You know what I'm saying? Just to show you that if he brought you through that, he'll bring you through this. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
You still have to move.
You still gotta move.
You still gotta move. You gotta keep it moving. I'm telling you, I was hearing that so strong, like keep it moving. Like don't stop. Just keep going. Just whatever that means. Even like in jobs and relationships, and a lot of times we get stuck in relationships and there's no growth.
Right.
And you want to stay there because it's like, oh well, I put all this time in and blah 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 blah. But if there's no growth, if you're not growing, if you're not if it's not making you be at your highest potential, you gotta move.
Absolutely.
You have to move. You have to go. Your job, your home, your surroundings. It's like we have to be on an elevated level to be at our highest potential.
I agree, and I mean, part of that is knowing yourself. Because if you have a hard time visualizing where you can be, where God says you can be, then you're always going to be plagued with inactivity and inaction.
So that's your thoughts. That goes back to your thoughts.
It goes back to your thoughts. It's like if you don't think highly of yourself, if you're always thinking low, you're always thinking negative, those are going to be your results. Like I just read,
that is so true. Oh my God.
Read something, I'm paraphrasing, but they said Bruce Lee said it, and he says when you're talking about yourself, you gotta, I'm paraphrasing, you gotta be careful what you say about yourself because your body can't take a joke.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, oh, I'm trash, I would never make it, or and you could be completely joking.
But the universe doesn't know.
Your body doesn't know that you're joking.
That's
so
like,
then you get those outcomes.
That's just like if you say I'm big as hell, or I'm fat, or you know what I'm saying. You're like it doesn't know that you're really, you know what it say, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if I think rich, I'm gonna be rich. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can visualize that in yourself, that's what you're going to be. If you think you're lovable, you're going to be loved.
If you don't think you're lovable,
you're not going to be loved. You're not going to be loved. Like, whatever you think, that's what you're going to get. That was another thing I was talking about, like your thoughts, like stinking thinking. Like, like then you wonder why you're depressed, and we wonder why we so down. It's our thoughts.
It's our thoughts.
It is our thoughts. Like when you get down and you know, like you just be like, oh, I can't do this, and oh, I can't do that. Like it's your thoughts. But when you get that fire under your feet and you be like, man, I could do this. I could do all things. What?
You can do all things through Christ who strengthens
you. And
we
forget them scriptures. Like, I'm telling you, sometimes I be forgetting them myself, and then sometimes I be like, wait a minute, hold up.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Right.
I can do this because he put it in me to do it.
Right. And if you can see it, you can do it. You know what I mean? It's really visualizing, like if you're driving down the road and you see the light turning yellow. You say, you know, I can take it. I see myself. Because
I'm good for that.
I'm going right for it.
I'm good for that, child.
And so sometimes you have to say, you know what? Yeah, I could do it. It may be a tight squeeze, but I could do it. I see myself being prosperous. I see myself being successful at what I do.
That's it.
But if you don't see yourself, your future self, as somebody who made it, somebody who is an overcomer, somebody who's an overachiever, like, you're gonna get dismal results every time.
That's just like so, you know, I've been doing hair for a long time, and I started when I was young, right? And I remember when I first started out, I was messing up bad. Oh my God. And I remember my mother was like, you know, my mother, she, you know, I grew up in the church and everything. My mother was like, you gonna get a job. You're not gonna come in here. I used to be high. She's like, you're not gonna come in here all high. Like, what is you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, she was like, if you don't get a job by today, Myke, today, your stuff gonna be on the lawn, right? Yeah. And she meant that. My mother was old school. She meant that. And I was like, okay, God. Now, I had my license. I knew I could do hair, but I didn't feel confident. I really didn't. I did not feel like, I knew I could do it, but there were certain things I couldn't do, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? But I stepped out on faith. I called this lady, and I was like, and back then, this was before like really like heavy cell phones and all that. This is back when we had like OmniPoint. So I really had my straight faith and my intuition. It was like, okay, God, and this I realized back then our faith was a little stronger. I realized that. I realized before we had all this technology, our faith was stronger, because it was like, okay, God, it's just me and you, and I need you to answer, and I need you to answer fast. Right. But you had to believe that he was going to answer fast.
Right. We're talking about like pre-GPS days.
We're talking about, okay, that was 19...
Print out the directions from, what, Netscape?
What? That was like 1996. Like, when you had to print it out and have it in your car sitting on the side, you're trying to read and drive.
Right. It's like, oh, I missed my turn 3 miles ago.
It's saying you don't even know what 3 miles is. You just, child, please. So... I remember calling this lady, and I remember saying, I called 3 shops, and I was like, all right, Lord, whoever answered, that's where I'm going. Right. That's where I'm going, whoever answered. So the lady, fast forward, told me she don't never answer her. That's hilarious. Her voicemails. She told me that. So I knew that was divine order, because she never answered her voicemails. But rewind, she went and she hired me on the spot. And I remember my thoughts at that time was like, oh God, I can't do this and I can't do that, you know, blah, 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 blah. But I watched myself grow as I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I watched myself, you know, just become more and more confident. And what I couldn't do, I asked. And let me tell you, there was sometimes I would go hide in that bathroom because I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. And she would force me to do it. Right. But fast forward, somebody said something to me the other day. They was like, you know, you really are a GOAT in this game. Like, you one of God's favorites. Yo, that thing touched me. Shout out, Sam. That thing touched me, because I was like, I remember.
Wow.
I remember when I was scared.
Yeah.
And I was about to give it all up because I was scared. I know you can relate to that.
Oh, no, let me tell you. So I used to do this Wednesday night thing at a spot in Kenilworth, live music, and I hired a band.
Wait, well, I was thinking when I was driving, I was like, he needs a little tambourine player in his band, cause
right, yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
But
I played tambourine, child. No, I'm sorry.
So off to the side, listen to God. A bass player friend of mine, he turned me on. He's like, yo, there's a site where you can kind of get some tracks that said, the files are separated so you can take out elements of the songs. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So I researched that and I started stockpiling. And I was like, well, there was a time where I had time to create tracks from scratch. But now I have money and no time. And
there was a time when you had time and no money.
Right, so I was like, all right, so I'll go ahead and I will buy these tracks and I will edit them as I see fit. But I'm doing it off to the side because I hired a band for every Wednesday night. So this one particular Wednesday, the drummer calls me, says I can't get a drum set. Now this is a weekly gig. That is your gig, and you can't find a drum set 2 hours before it's start time. Then the bass player called, and he had a whole nother flaky whatever. So I found myself by myself having to do the gig.
And let's talk about that. Let's talk about by yourself. Sometimes God will tell you to move by yourself, yo.
Because like if we want to pull up another Bible stories, thinking about Gideon when he had all those soldiers and God says you got too many. You got to send some home. The ones who's afraid, you got to send them home.
You got too many.
I'm at the gig and it's now 6:50.
And the gig started at 7.
7 o'clock.
Okay, you got 10 minutes to make it happen.
And I already had the computer. I had the tracks, and I should have crashed and burned that night. But I was working because God told me to move in a certain direction, and I wind up doing the whole night by myself and put their money in my pocket. And from that point on, I said, you know what? I'm going to work on being a one-man band.
That's it.
So when you came to see me...
I was just about to say that. And I was just about... See, let me tell you something. I was just about to say, nothing is coincidental. Because when I saw you post that, I came. And look where we are today. Nothing is coincidence.
So it's like...
Nothing.
I'll say, you know what? I can play drums a little bit. I can sing a little bit.
A little bit.
All right.
A little bit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. I can do those things, and I can do them simultaneously because I got the tracks going. So I keep the time. I'm singing and I'm running the tracks all at the same time. But I wouldn't have known that I could have done that if they didn't leave me hanging.
And it's funny you said that because I was thinking about yesterday. I had posted a post yesterday about multitasking. I'm a multitasker.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, my friends laugh at me because I say this saying, well, it's a song, but sometimes you got to hold them, fold them, walk away, and run.
Right.
And sometimes you got to do all four at the same time. You know, God sometimes gives us instruction to do all four things at the same time.
Absolutely.
Like, I run that salon by myself. I'm washing hair. I'm wrapping them. I'm rolling them. Like, I'm talking to them. I'm being the therapist. I'm doing all of this at one time. But He has equipped us for it.
Right. And see, people usually will fold because when they think about the prospect of having to do everything
at one time,
that's
it,
by themselves,
they're
like, nah, I can't do it.
It's too much. I ain't doing this.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so we have similar paths, and it's just amazing just how God works. Because he will isolate you to show you, one, his power, and two, the power he put inside of you.
And the power that you don't have.
Right.
And the power that you do have.
Right.
You know, like he will, and it's so funny because I'm always trying to take somebody with me. Always. I'm always like, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But he also will isolate me at the same time. Even though I'm social and yada yada yada, but he will isolate me at the same time.
I'm gonna scoop you over here to the side
because I can't hear him when I'm around a bunch of. I gotta be by myself so I can hear the next move.
Right, and God is not gonna over talk you and your thoughts. No. So he gotta quiet your spirit down. He gotta quiet your thoughts down so that he can say, okay. This is the next move I need you to make. Don't think about move 30. Think about this next move.
This next move, yep.
Because the next move. When you get there, you'll find out what you need. It's like the biggest game of
chess, if you ask me.
Chess or treasure hunt.
Treasure.
It's like you get your next cue. I feel like I'm on
a scavenger hunt.
Right. You get your next cue and clue when you get to the next checkpoint. And so God just wants us to move through life's checkpoints so that he can speed you on to the finish line. But if you keep questioning and like questioning yourself and like why me and blah 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 blah.
My mom used to say, why not you?
Why not?
Why not you?
My dad tells me all the time.
Why not you?
He used to get on me so much growing up. He was like, because I would go and work in other people's bands and do other stuff. He was like, how can you have your own band?
Yeah.
And see, like, he's a business owner. His father was a business owner. And now I'm a business owner. And so growing up, my dad stressed that. They stressed that when he was growing up, to have your own.
Have your own.
But you can't develop that if you're too weak to step out on faith.
And we was talking about, remember we was talking about that the other day, passion. Like, I feel like, you know, a lot of times people, they have drive, right? But they have no passion.
No passion.
They have no passion.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and his eyes lit up. Young fella. And his eyes lit up when he was talking about what he wanted to do. And I was like, okay, so how we going to do it?
Right.
How we going to do it? You know what I'm saying? And then you know what I was thinking about today? About sometimes you have people, you have strategizers and you have analyzers. And they both are important.
Right.
And I think it's wonderful to have someone, like if you're, like I'm an analyzer. So I need a strategist. So we could put this plan in action.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like I said, drive and passion. So, but we have to be components and not opponents.
Yeah.
We have to work together so it can work. You can't oppose me.
Right.
If you oppose me, it will never, the dream will never come true.
But even in that, there has to be honesty.
Communication.
And honest communication. Because we will enter into partnerships, relationships, whatever, with people who have their own agenda.
That's right.
And they just won't be adult enough to say, hey, listen, I'm only going to give you 30%.
But a lot of people are not forthcoming like that.
Right. So they will leave you with the illusion that you're getting 100% of them, but they already capped you out at 30.
And you had no idea.
And you're going through all these frustrations, not realizing that you met a threshold with them that they
put a cap on it, and they can't deliver anything else. And they won't say, and that's anything, like you said, that's jobs, that's relationships, you know, and sometimes they don't even know that they're not equipped to go further than 30%.
Right.
Because they thought that they can give you this, and then they realize, oh, hold up, I can't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That goes back to I was talking to somebody else the other day about calculation. You know, sometimes you have people that are just walking calculators. They're just computing all day, just computing. You know, like and like for me, I'm not a walking calculator. I don't necessarily compute my next move.
Mm.
I realize that about myself. Like I don't necessarily I don't really plan. I don't really plan my next move because I don't know what it's gonna be.
Right.
You know what I mean? I kind of just be like, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna do it, but I ain't really planning for it. I'm just, all right, this is what I want to do. I'm about to do it. That's what is that called? That's manifestation. I'm going to. This is what I want to do. This is how I see myself. This is what I want to do. What do I have to do it? And I'm just gonna do it and let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
And really that is what being like an entrepreneur is about and a dreamer. You know, like you fail plenty times. Times.
I mean, it's part of the process to fail. And a lot of people don't get started because they're afraid to fail.
That's right. And that'd be the main thing right there. It's not that you can't do it. You're computing the outcome instead of just going through it. Just go through. If you fail, all right. Yeah. Then it's like, okay, well, look, I know what to do.
I was guilty of that.
Me too.
You know, because I said to myself, I was like, okay, I want to do this. Right? And then I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I want to do this. So I met with my lawyer the other day, and I told him about the three main ventures that I want to, really get off the ground. And he says, you know what? Whatever way you decide, it's your decision.
Whichever way you decide.
You're going to have to pick one.
You're going to have to move.
And focus on that and move forward that.
And
do at least 60 hours a week working on it. He's like, you can't do that and this and that because they all on 3 different tracks going in 3 different directions.
But see, now I don't know about that because that goes back to like how you said you're a one-man band. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know.
But in being a one-man band, I couldn't approach it by saying, okay, I know I'm going to play the drums, I'm going to do the tracks and all that stuff. But see, they all overlap into each other to make one thing. I can play the drums, I can sing, and I can start the track. All
you like Ray Charles, niggas like you like Ray Charles,
right? All simultaneously, like I could do everything all at one time.
But you was blind doing this thing.
But I'm not trying to do that and then go in the kitchen and cook the food at the same time. I may have a desire to cook the food, but I can't cook the food and perform at the same time. I gotta focus on one or the other. If I'm gonna go cook the food, let me stop performing and go cook the food.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's what my lawyer said to me. He was like, pick something and focus on it and move forward. And so me, I'm like, Dad, I don't want to mess up. I already got money wrapped in this.
You talk yourself out of it.
I can't afford to fail hard.
Okay.
Because then, like, I'll lose investments.
Okay.
But I still have to move forward. I still gotta.
So you got one thing held, one thing folded, one thing you had to walk away from, and one thing you either running from or running towards.
Right. Now, fortunately, the other things that I had going on, they can almost be like autopilot. I just can't put my sole focus on those things. So they're already set up, and they kind of just run themselves. I could focus on one main thing and make myself a success in that, because I can see myself doing that, because I already had the visualization that I can get it done.
Okay.
And so just moving forward, you got to say to yourself,
what is the ultimate goal here?
And like, am I going to go through this without giving up?
Yeah.
Will I be able to get up every day and keep trying until I got it? And if you're not willing to do that, then you got to evaluate if you're really hearing.
But you got to want it. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on what you want.
Going back to what you're saying, like, you have to be passionate about it.
That's it.
Because your passion is going to
drive you
and solidify your commitment.
Dang.
Because if you're not passionate, you're not going to be committed. And if you're not going to be committed, you're not going to complete it.
So I wonder what makes people lose their passion. What makes people, that's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But what makes people lose their passion?
I feel like it goes back to unbelief.
Whew.
I feel like it goes back to doubting if you can get it done in the first place.
That's it. Wow.
And so people would give up their passion because they don't think that it's going to be successful. Or somebody talked them out of it. Oh,
you can't do that,
you
or
can't do
or
that.
you shouldn't do that.
Open up your own shop. You should go work for such and such cuts. And go get a job.
Well, somebody
that's
told me that the other day. Yeah, and I'm not safe. Ain't nothing safe.
Nothing is safe.
Nothing is safe. No.
Even if you got a job,
it ain't safe.
Like, think of the people who worked in Enron back in the day. They thought their job was safe. They come in one day and it's all over. And there's so many jobs that went down in flames because people put their trust in the company, and the company had a surprise for them.
But I feel like faith ain't safe. That's a whole other topic. I like the rhyme. I got bars.
Right.
Faith ain't safe though.
Faith is not
safe. It's not safe.
If faith
was safe, we wouldn't need it.
We wouldn't need it.
We wouldn't need it.
We wouldn't need it.
Faith is not safe.
But then why
that's a whole nother topic.
Why would God tell us to have faith?
Because he wants us to trust him. When it don't make sense, I'm about to, we're going to go back to Abraham. You're going to tell me to take my son on a mountain.
The son that you waited for.
The son that I waited for. I'm old as hell. You going to tell me to take my son on a mountain. So you tell
me the promise that you gave me, you want me to kill it.
And I was old as hell. Okay? I waited all this time for this promise, right?
Right.
You gave it to me.
I even had a solution in place before the promise.
But you told me not to do that. You told me
that was wrong.
You told me to go on this mountain.
Send that away.
And you tell me to kill my son on this mountain.
Yeah.
And this little boy walking behind me, child. And he don't know I'm about to kill him.
Right.
But because I trust you, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So then you really gotta ask yourself, if God asked you to kill your dream.
Woo! That was a whole nother topic.
Would you do it?
Yeah. Yeah, because let me tell you something. I remember I was doing hair, and I had a big salon, big, killing them on Park Ave.
Wow.
Park Ave, y'all.
Yeah. Park
Ave. Okay, back in what was that? Like early 2000s.
Wow.
Killing them. I'm talking about the projects down the street. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we the high school this way. You know what I'm saying? Friday night was lit. Lit. I heard God say, move.
Wow.
Just up and go.
Up and go.
I was like, what? What?
Just shut it down.
What? And I did.
That's incredible.
It is, and I did. And I wasn't even mad at him.
Wow.
I wasn't even, let me tell you something. I have been in situations where God has told me to do things that did not make sense.
Wow.
And sometimes I got to a point to where I was just like, I ain't even mad at you. All right. Okay. Cool. Okay. Because I know the thoughts that you think towards me. Not the thoughts I think towards myself. See, that go back to your thoughts. Because sometimes the thoughts I think towards myself are not great. They're not good. But the thoughts that he think towards me.
Right.
I know I just know it's going to be all right. It might not look all right, but I know it's going to be all right. So when he tell you to move, just go.
Just go.
Just go. There is something on the other end of that move. I'm telling you. I don't know what it is. But it's something on the other end of that move that is just so great. You know, because God don't want us to be depressed and sad. That is not what he has for us.
That's not what he wants for us.
No.
And the sooner we remember that, the sooner we can move on in life. Because it's so easy to say, I got a nice little spot. Everything is smooth. All my bills are paid. I don't have to go anywhere. You know what I mean? I work 5 minutes from the house. I got all this going. I can pay my bills. I can stack up. I go on vacations twice a year.
Look, you talking to me? I'm like, nah, let me stop.
And then God be like, nah, it's all over.
Because I swear for goodness, I hear him saying it.
It's like, nah, it's time for you to go.
Yeah, I hear him saying it. And I'm
leave everything behind.
And just go.
Follow him.
Follow him and just go. Just go. And it is scary. Don't get me wrong. It is scary, but I know there's something greater.
Yeah.
There's something greater on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
So how much time we got?
No, I think we good.
How long? How many?
It's 7:44. Like, we good.
So that was about 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. I think that's good. I think that was a good ending too.